And we just have to understand that we're here with this energy in our DNA. This is our path. And the more we stay on the path, the more we'll go in the directions that we're meant to be going, the faster, the faster it will happen, or the right way.
You're listening to Amplify Your Success podcast, episode 469. And today you're going to discover how to boost your messaging using your human design. Are you ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's your host, Melanie Benson. And today we're going to be talking about human design and the different ways it can influence your messaging, your positioning, and even your prosperity code. And my guest today is one of my business besties. And I am so excited to have this conversation and share it with you because this woman has taught me so much about human design. She has inspired me greatly. We are longtime collaboration partners. We're part of each other's rising tide. And as a matter of fact, the resource she shares is something she gave me early access to. And it was so profoundly helpful and insightful for me, really dialing in that next level of clarity using my human design, that I completely recalibrated my offering suite for the upcoming year. And I cannot wait to share some of the things that are inside. But in particular, one was really stepping fully into my role as a leader and working with other leaders and creating community with people who want to lead, who want to be part of each other's rising tide. So I have to give her massive kudos and a huge shout out for holding space for something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time and allowing it to unfold using my most energetically congruent blueprint with my human design. Now, you'll be hearing more about the Rising Tide Collective over the next few weeks. If you're curious about my Rising Tide Collective and what emerged from my conversation with Samantha, I will link it up in the show notes, or you can go to melaniebenson.com/collective. I'm very excited and I'm very uplifted by this. I have wanted to do this for a really long time, but it always kind of took a back seat to so many other priorities, and coming off the Collaboration Currency Challenge and just really seeing what people are craving this year. I have to tell you, I hadn't even opened the doors. I just shared it with a few people, a few former clients and people that I know this is up for them. And we already started having applications come in and people joining. So I think this may just be what people are really craving, a community of people who want to rise together. So check that out. See if that speaks to you. I can't wait to share more. But for now, let me introduce my dear friend, Samantha Riley. Welcome back, Amplifiers. I'm thrilled today to introduce you to, I'm going to call her one of my business besties. Like, she is somebody who I think is so amazing. Let me introduce you to Samantha Riley. Now, Samantha, my good friend who works on the other side of the world, she works with coaches, consultants, and visionary leaders to sustainably scale their businesses to 30K months and beyond. Through her signature frameworks, she helps her clients to make more money and build businesses for freedom and fulfillment. And she is the host of the Business Growth Lab. Did I say that right, Sam? I keep saying it wrong.
Yep.
Okay.
No, you got it.
Because you had a different name before, and I'm like, wait, did I get it right? So the Business Growth Lab podcast, and it's, oh my God, it's one of my favorite podcasts. And I am an avid fan, listen to it all the time. Samantha, I'm excited to have you here today. Finally, you're in the guest seat today.
I am so excited to be here, and I am so grateful and blessed and excited that we're finally doing this.
Yeah, me too. So I'm going to tease you a little bit because as you're listening in, part of what prompted us finally getting Sam in the guest seat is she shared something with me a few weeks back. And I was so blown away by it. And I geek out on human design, right? If you know me at all, I love human design. I'm starting to love Gene Keys. We have this little like pod of people who were always sharing resources. And Sam was like, yeah, check this out. And I was like, oh my God, this thing is so good. And it revealed some things about myself, my superpowers, and where I really needed to focus that was laser clear for me. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And then I've asked Samantha if she would share it with you at the end. So you got to stay tuned for that. So, Sam, let's talk about messaging today. You and I talk
Mm-hmm.
a lot about messaging. We tend to kind of hold space for each other with messaging at times. And we both know that there's a huge shift that's occurring around what really draws people in right now. And it's not
Mm,
what everybody thinks it is. Tell me a
no,
little bit about what you see shifting right now and why what everybody's being taught around messaging is actually not working anymore.
totally. Can I start off by saying messaging, I believe, is the number one skill that every business owner needs to master. If you can't get your messaging right, you just can't attract people into your offer. And if you can't sell, then you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So this is so, so key to having a profitable business. What I'm seeing, and I know it's not just me, everyone's feeling this, is that the internet's been out there for a while. We've gone through the wild, wild west of the internet beginning, people being able to make millions of dollars with just a few words, to people really calling BS on a lot of the bro marketing tactics and saying, does this feel authentic? Does this, in my gut, do I feel like this is truthful? Is this person speaking from their soul, from their wisdom? Like, do I feel something from this person, or is this just some words on a page? Because we've been taught that messaging is this is the formula and this is what you have to do. And to some degree, that is right. I'm not saying that's not correct. There are certain things we need to cover in our messaging to tick people's checkboxes that they don't even realize they have to make them say, yes, this is for me. But we have to feel something. And this is where there's this shift that we need to not really pay attention to the algorithm anymore because people are seeing through that. We need to energetically connect with people. We need to speak in a way that we're wired to speak and to communicate with the world so that our messaging and our content lands harder, it lands faster, so that someone goes, oh my God, she's speaking to me or he's speaking to me, and making sure that it lands to the right people, the people that you're meant to be speaking with. Because if you understand human design, our type, so whether we're a manifestor or a generator or a projector, that's what differentiates that, or how we know that's who we are, is because that's what our aura is like. That's how we're attracting people or communicating with the world. So we need to be speaking and communicating through that. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Or did I
Well, it's
really
making
just
sense
kind
to
of go down
me.
a very weird rabbit
Yeah.
hole then?
No, well, and so let's just put it this way. Like, if you don't know what human design is, let's just take a step back for a second. Human design is a body of work. It's based on ancient teachings and science that, we are all born with a blueprint, if you will, or an energetic kind of map of how, like, and you're going to say this better, but basically like how we relate to the world and other people and how we bring
Totally.
our gifts to the world. And where it
And
gets really,
sorry, Melanie.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's actually like when we say it like that, and which is what it is, it can sound a little woo woo. But for anyone that is listening and is like, yeah, but science is where I'm at. It's in our DNA. This is literally in our DNA.
Yeah. And, we are both one woo on the woo woo scale. So let's just own
We
it,
are.
right?
Yeah, we
But
are.
these are
We're
tools
definitely.
that you're going to start to hear about them more and more and more. And I've watched a lot of my friends really start to adopt these tools to bring a more alignment back into the coaching work, how they
Mm.
hold space for
Hmm.
their clients and for themselves. But
Yeah.
where you and I have started to go deeper into exploring, and you're really turbocharged around this, and it's making it so interesting, is in the nuances of our energetic design and how that
Mm.
plays out in messaging and our, like how we market, how we're visible, how we build our business, right? Like it can just go so deep. And anyway, more on that soon. But let's talk a little bit
Mm.
more about the messaging because I'm fascinated. I talk about the lighthouse message and
Mm.
learning how to message. And again, like I'm not perfect with it. Like we all have our strengths around this, but messaging, I agree with you. It is absolutely one of the most important skills. Because if you don't message, it doesn't matter. You're never going to get to the sales part. You don't know how to
That's
claim your
exactly
message.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really sad to see highly skilled coaches who are really good at what they do lose out on clients because they just can't articulate what it is that they do and they can't articulate their point of difference. So, if we layer on the energetics with the nuance of how to share the message on top of your amazing lighthouse messaging, that's when we start to build something that's amazing.
So one of and I know we're not going to get too much into types today, but I'm a manifester, and one of the things
Mm.
that's been really profoundly powerful and at times very challenging is to really understand how my message is either going to polarize or repel, and that
Mm-hmm.
I want it to do that. But that's
Mm-hmm.
also one of the most important things about messaging in general. How does getting deeper into our unique design help us really like create a message that can equally attract the right people but repel the people we're not meant to work with?
Yeah, I love this question. This is so good. So, when you really understand how you're wired to speak, you're going to be speaking in the like the native language of your energy, right? So, it means that your people will finally get you, which means that on the other side, the people who aren't meant to hear it, it's almost like they've got earmuffs on. They just won't hear it because it's not meant for them. So it's not necessarily, I think when people think polarizing, they think turning people away. But sometimes it's just as simple as putting earmuffs on the people that aren't meant to hear it, or like noise cancelling headphones. So it doesn't necessarily mean that half the world's going to suddenly start hating you. It doesn't mean that at all. Like there are some people that are going to have their buttons pushed, but on the majority, like the bro marketers don't know I exist because they wouldn't even notice my content. They wouldn't even notice that I'm alive. They wouldn't see that I'm here. They wouldn't read my content and go, "Oh my God, she's speaking to me." Like it's like they're blind to it. So when you can turn that natural communication style into content that has the right people tuning in, it's going to make sure that the right people see it. It's not just going to have likes, it's going to have people leaning in and saying, oh my God, she's speaking to me. So, yeah, the polarizing isn't as nasty as what people think it is. And that can really, especially manifestors, because that is what's meant to happen. It can make them almost have this fear of hurting people or turning people away. But rather than that, just think, you know what? If I truly lean into this, the right people will hear it. And then just don't worry about the others. Like don't think about turning people away because that energetically can sort of make you hold back as well, right?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of different ways we message. And I was just thinking, I'm just coming off an event that you were a part of, and we saw people have all different things they had to message and figure out. And what are some of the most important things that we might lace our unique design into so that we've got that congruence and energetic reach that we're hoping for?
Okay, it's pretty much everything. It's we can weave it through our offers, we can weave it through our sales pages, our workshops, our lead magnets, our day-to-day content, our stories. Like it goes through absolutely everything. And when you understand what it is that you're meant to be leaning into, or actually, let me say that in a different way. When you understand what is actually uniquely in us, what it can do is not just give us energy, but you start to, let me put it this way. You know, the times where we think, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? Should I just go and get a job? I can't keep doing this. And this is completely not messaging, but it helps us to actually get back to who we are. It usually means that we've just come off track just a little bit. So when we can really understand the energetics of that, that's when we kind of get back on path, get back onto our purpose. So it's so much more than messaging. But what we're going to talk about today is specifically how we communicate and bring in the nuance that makes us stand out. Because it's not just we can really lean into our lighthouse message, but if we still use plain language about that, it doesn't have the potency that it could have. So when we layer in the nuance, and I can go into the 5 different ways that we can do that next,
Yeah.
if you like.
Before you do that, let me just say something about the lighthouse message you referred to a few times. When I talked about messaging, it was one thing. When I started to talk about what happens when you have a lighthouse message, I had people signing up for my programs
Yeah.
that were lingering in the background for a really long time. It was something about that quality. And I think that's an example of what you're talking about. It's like that potency that speaks to exactly the person. Because I had other people go, what does that even mean? But then the people that
Mm-hmm.
really related to that, they're like, oh, snap, you're talking to
Oh,
me. So I think
yes.
that's really what you're talking about here. I just wanted to give one example, but let's talk about those 5, was it elements of
Yeah, well, there's 5 different gates in our chart, and I know you've talked about human design on the podcast before, so I don't want to go super deep. But we've got when you look at a human design chart, there's 2 lines of numbers down the right hand side and the left hand side, and the right hand side is our conscious side, it's our personality side, it's the all of the areas of our energy that we're quite aware of. And then you've got the design side or the unconscious side. And this is the part of our chart that other people see, but we're not so conscious of. So there's 5 specific gates that we really tap into with our messaging. The first one is our personality sun gate, and this is our big energy. This is our core expression. This is our primary energy. This is think about the sun in the solar system, right? It's big, it's hot, everyone knows it's there. So it's the primary energy. That's what we're all about. Then you've got your personality Mercury, and Mercury is all about communication. I don't think we need to go any further with that. That's pretty simple. Your personality north node is the next gate we look at, and your north node is the direction that you're growing. So this content, when we tap into this gate, speaks to people who you want to lead. So it's where you want to go in the future, what you want to grow into. Your design Mercury is the 4th gate, and that's around expressing your unconscious wisdom. So the wisdom that you have that other people know that's there, they're like, oh, that's really good. And you're almost, those times where you're like, oh, I didn't even know I was good at that. But other people can see it. That's something to tap into. And then finally, it's your design earth gate, which is your grounding and your stabilizing message. And when your content, you can bring these pieces in, that's when your true wisdom and your true communication comes out.
hmm, amen. You had me at human design, but we'll keep going. Well, and first of all, I should say Sam's run this on me, and I just melt when she gives me this data. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so clear. And what took me 24 years to figure out, I found out in 10 minutes with reading this
Yeah.
report. So keep going. Tell me more.
All right. All right. Well, let's start off with the first one, your personality sun. I want to dive into your chart. I had a
Okay.
bit of I geek out in your chart all the
Yeah.
time. But let's go a little bit deeper into that because this might help people to understand what the actual application is. So your design earth is that's the big picture and who you are as a messenger. So this is that core transmission, and your core transmission is all around creative contribution, unique style, and being the one who says, "Here's my way, but now go and do it your way." So you're not meant to be, and you're not either, the cookie cutter coach. You're all about showcasing your unique approach, but then inviting others so that they can own theirs, which is very much about what you do. And it's around, your future direction is around literally leading through authentic expression and encouraging others to bring their flavor. And, that's what you do. But when you talk about that in your content specifically and apply that lens to anything you're talking about, it will turn something from, yeah, I get it, to, oh my goodness, now I really get it.
That on. And what's
Yeah.
really interesting about that, and some of what's come up as I've done deeper dives into my own human design, is how much leadership comes up.
Mm-hmm.
What we're not talking about today is my profile as a 6'2". And so if you know
No.
human design, you'll know what I mean. But that there's so much of the role model and the leadership that comes through that. But then combined with the other pieces that we're talking about today, yeah, I started to realize like, yeah, I am meant to be a guide for people who are emerging as leaders, who maybe are ready to make that next leap. And so it was very affirming to get that feedback.
Yeah. So let's talk about your voice and your messaging. So this is your Mercury. So your personality Mercury and your design Mercury. So your Mercury is your communication. So this is all around, how you communicate, and yours is all around being a translator. And you're designed, and let me just say, you are absolutely energetically aligned because I like everything that comes out, just like this is your zone of genius and you lean into this so well. But your Mercury is all about translating complex or abstract or what people think are weird ideas into really simple, practical language. And this is how I explain you to other people too. I just go, oh my goodness, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to make sense of this. And you go, oh, it's kind of like XYZ. And I'm like, how did you do that? You did that in like 5 words, and I've been grappling with a million words for a year, and you're just like, zoop, like little laser focus. You can just translate it. So that's you like really living your design. You naturally have this vibe of, I can make, this is how it makes sense. So you can take things that feel confusing or overwhelming and you can say it succinctly and simply in one sentence. So you're like leaning into this in your content of, all that noise about, XYZ, all that noise that people are saying. Here's what it actually means for you. And you're able to laser focus that in. So when you lean into that in a lot of your content in that particular way, it'll land a lot faster for people because they're able to grasp that concept and say, I understand that now, or I understand how that applies to me. Just what you were saying before with the lighthouse message. People are like, oh, now I get how it applies to me. And that's what you're doing. You're translating that, which means it's easy for people to go, yeah, I'm putting my hand up and saying, yeah, that's for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of a client that I've been working with for the last year, and one of the first things we did was take this idea that he's like, I don't know, it's like this and it's like that, and I'm like, no, it's this, and I can't say what it is because he hasn't revealed it yet, because it's
Yeah.
part of a bigger brand repackaging. But it was like same thing. He's like all over the place with it, and then I found three words, and he was like, oh my God, that's it. That's exactly what I want to be known for. So I think I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's perfect. And the other thing around your Mercury is about doubt and logical questioning. And this isn't a negative thing, but it's this drive to test and verify and improve. So, under the surface, you're probably driven by things like, does this actually work? Is this really true? What's the real pattern here? And then when you bring these two gates of your conscious and your unconscious Mercury together, your content or what you're saying or communicating works really well and lands when you're questioning popular advice, expressing flaws in, this is what everyone says strategies, and then really distilling and making clarity, making it crystal clear what the alternative is. So when it's like you're this myth busting translator of bringing those two gates together.
I like that myth busting translator. That's true. And I don't know if this is showing up in it, but I know one of the ways that works for me is I can see changes on the horizon and what's starting to emerge very quickly. And I can start to see how those patterns are flowing into where people are stuck. And that's
Mm.
been really interesting this year as I started to see the correlations between, oh, look at how this thing in the world around us is changing and how it's playing out for, certain clients of mine or seeing shifts in the industry.
Oh, there's so many shifts happening right now, and that's where we really need to be um, sharing through our unique design. Because if we don't, it's just so easy to get caught going down all sorts of paths. And we just have to understand that we're here with this energy in our DNA. This is our path. And the more we stay on the path, the more we'll go in the directions that we're meant to be going. The faster it will happen, or the right way, if that makes sense. We all get caught off going down different roads, but if we do that all the time, we're just wasting time.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I love what we keep bringing in this word alignment. I spent the first 10 years building a business that was so out of alignment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I
Mm-hmm.
understand my design, I know why everything shifted the way it did because I was literally fighting myself to keep the programs that I had at that time in motion. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to see a lot of people finding their way back to alignment because when something's not in alignment, when we have a year like we have this year, it's going to burn
Mm-hmm.
down whether you like it or not.
Oh, 100%. Everything is burning down right now. Not only are we in a 9 year with numerology that is endings, and 1 year is next year. It's all about, creating the new foundations or the new basis for our next life cycle. Um, all of that has to happen for us to create space in what's new. So yeah, whether you like it or not, it's all changing. And then you add in with 2027 being the change of the energy, coming from the masculine energy of this cycle into the feminine energy of the next cycle. It's all around the rising phoenix. I mean, we're seeing it literally everywhere, right? That's exactly what's happening. So
Mm.
the energy has that happening whether we like it or not.
Yeah. So how can we put this into an application? Like this is fascinating and I love what it means for me, but that now what do we do with this insight that we get?
with this insight, it's easy to create your content, but then run it back through and say, have I touched on this? Have I brought this aspect into this post, this sales page, this offer, whatever it is that I'm communicating? Or, am I talking about it in this podcast episode? Because when you can make sure that you're adding these pieces in, that's when, like I said before, it lands heavier. So often I will write a post. So I'm a generator with, I hope I don't get too nerdy here, but my head centers are open, which means that I often can get really confused. And if I don't have an inspiration drop come in, which usually comes from speaking to someone like you, who, has a defined throat, someone will say something and I'll be like, oh, that sparked something. And I'll write about it or I'll do something about it. And then I'll go back and say, have I covered in my specific gates? And when I can bring that energy in, that's when it just takes it to the next level. And often I'll use AI and say, hey, Chatty, that's the name of my chat GPT. Hey, Chatty, what have I missed here? Which gate haven't I covered? Or what haven't I covered with my profile, or blah, blah, blah. And it will say, you're 99% right. But if you add this one little sentence or add these 3 words onto this sentence, it'll completely change it. And it can be as simple as that. It'll just add one little sentence and it completely transforms the post or the whatever it is. It just adds that little missing link that is my unique voice, my unique message. And it's really, so you've got a lot of leadership and a lot of making complex ideas simple in your chart, a lot of community building, bringing people together. That's a very, all over your chart. All over my chart is all around making money, sharing resources, simplifying systems so that you can make more money, share more resources. And let's go back, a few years ago when I was working with a mentor that was very bro marketing, and I was very afraid of talking about money because it made me feel icky at that time. That's why my stuff wasn't landing. As soon as I'm like, I need to bring this in, gate 21 is huge in my chart, which is all around, creating resources, sharing resources. So as soon as I bring that and weave that golden thread through everything I'm talking about, people go, oh, I get what you're talking about. Oh, I understand now. It's not just about making money. It's, I need to make money so that I can look after my family. I need to make money so that I can take my kids to Disneyland. Oh, I need to make sure that the systems are in place so that I can do that. And all of a sudden, that all makes sense. So it really is about understanding what you're designed to share and making sure that you weave that golden thread through everything that you do.
Yeah. And I love that you brought the money part into it, because that's another element that is in our human design, is our relationship to money and how we grow prosperity, or how we dance with money, whatever's in our chart. And I think that's been really illuminating at times to know that I'm sure you see this in your clients. People are like, do I do this? Do I do that? How do I package it? Right? Like, what should I charge? Like, it can swim around in the murky waters of what's the best thing I can do to take my superpower, my unique genius, and convey it to my clients, not just with the messaging, but through the business offerings for design. How are you seeing human design play out with that?
I can give you an exact little tidbit with what I did with mine, because I think it's very easy when you're creating an offer to say, oh, I saw what Melanie did and she did really well and she signed heaps of clients off the back of her launch, so let's do it that way, without realizing it's not the way you're designed to make money. And for me, what I did was, because back in 2020, we all know what happened then, I took everything I did and put it online, as we all did. And I, once we came out the back of that energy, let's call it the 2020 energy, I didn't bring my live events back straight away. And in my human design, when I ran my offer through my prosperity code, one of the important pieces that came floating to the top was I need to have some sort of in-person connection with my clients so that they can get the depth of what I teach. Because I go really deep, really fast. And sometimes online, people can't get that because they don't have that energy of being in the room with me. I'm quite intense. Like once we're diving in, I get really intense. So what I did was brought the live events back, the live retreats back into our offer. And all of a sudden, things changed. The whole energy of my entire program changed because people came to our retreats. They come back online. All of a sudden, now they've got this energy that they're bringing back to the space or the container, and it amplifies, right? Where for some people, that would actually dim them. They would be like, "Oh, I feel really flat after that," because that person's not meant to have that piece in their program. So really understanding the way that you're designed to not just attract clients and the types of clients, but the way that they are designed to interact with you in your program is really key. Because when you're able to do that, you've got less churn, you've got people having more success with your program. Which might sound like, yeah, of course I want my clients to have success, but it goes even further than that. The more success they have, the more they'll talk to people about you, the more case studies you've got, which attracts more people to you. So it's quite, everything is intrinsic. It relates to everything else. And when you understand how to bring your specific offer together, it makes it even more potent. I had another client that was actually the opposite. So I'm meant to work in group programs. That's the way I'm best designed to work. I had another client who is specifically meant to dive really deep, but in one-on-one. So what we did, we're able to key it so that he could really tap into why that was. So he was able to charge a much higher, like a premium price for his one-on-one so that he could get better results, faster results, deeper results, but still make the money that he could have through a group program. But a group program would never have worked for him. He wasn't energetically able to hold that container. So it's really important that we know that, because if our offer's off, we won't grow, not just because people don't come to us, but also because we will put the brakes on what we're doing. It's kind of like we're trying to grow a business with one foot on the brake and one foot on the accelerator at the same time. Because we don't grow into pain. We will subconsciously hold ourselves back because we're like, this feels yuck, this doesn't work, I don't like this, and we won't grow into that. So yeah, when you can really understand the way your energy is designed to create and deliver, that's when you'll take the brakes off and you'll just fly.
Love it.
Did that answer your question?
Yes. Well, and then some. I mean, it's just, I love the examples because I think it kind of brings it to clarity rather than kind of an idea. It's like, oh, that's how it works.
Mm.
Is there anything else you want to share before we talk about this resource that we've been teasing about?
Well, let's talk about the resource, because I think that will help people to understand the depth of what we're talking about here. Because we've talked a little bit about content, which is one, I've said that it's the number one skill we have to have, but it's only one tiny part of our business, right? So, and you shared a little bit about it before, but when we really understand our design, we can start to understand what our brand personality is. So the energy that we naturally radiate and how to use that to attract the right clients. You can get really clear on your brand voice, which we've talked a little bit about today. Get clarity on your zone of genius. because our zone of genius is really, really difficult for us, each of us, to articulate, because we're in it. We're in our heads. We can hear all of the different things. And our genius comes so easily to us that often we can't put our finger on what it was. And when we're able to understand what it is that we're wired to master, we can actually stop doing everything else and just go, right, I'm just going to work in my zone of genius. When we know how to show up and work, at our desk every day, so that we know what to spend time on and what to delegate, like that's a game changer. When we understand how we're designed to make money, and when we understand what our limiting patterns are, so that those energetic blocks that come up and we might not notice them, when we know what they are and they pop in, straight away we can go, oh, I know what's going on here. I can just like push that to the side and keep going. It's an absolute game changer in our business. And that's really what the prosperity code's all about.
Hmm. Well, and that's so when I read my prosperity code, which is the resource that you shared with me, I was blown away. And you were talking about the leadership, but it was talking about like how I'm meant to be. My collaboration is one of my energy expanders, and I just read it, and I literally keep it with me all the time because I refer to it a lot.
Yeah,
You are generously gifting that to the community today. You want to share how people can tap into it?
absolutely. You go to samanthariley.global/gift, and it will give you the link to produce or generate your own report within minutes. It doesn't take long, does it, Melanie? Like within
No.
minutes, you've got this report. And just like you, I have it next to my desk 24/7. And at all times of the day, I'll just like quickly flip through. I'll look at what I need to know so that I can take the breaks off and do whatever I want. So, yeah, head to samanthariley.global/gift and grab your copy.
Now, if somebody doesn't know anything about human design or do not have their own human design blueprint,
Mhm.
can they still take advantage of the prosperity code?
Absolutely. The very first thing it will do is ask you, do you have your chart? Or if you don't, just click here and you can grab your chart. So everything is there for you to be able to download your chart. Even if you look at it and it doesn't make sense, it doesn't need to. Just plug the right numbers in, and it will generate your report.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And it's such a cool GPT. I love the whole tool. I was
Thank
like,
you.
oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So, all right, as you're listening in, I would love to hear what is the big spark? What's the aha when you download your prosperity code? You can slide into my DM or, reach out wherever you listen to this or do a post, share the episode with your friends and tag Samantha and I. We'll have both of our socials in the show notes because we want to hear how is this moving some energy for you, helping with some clarity, maybe bringing you back into clarity about how you're going to move something forward that's been a little flip-floppy for you. We want to know, like, how can you use this tool to really align with where you're meant to impact, where you're meant to amplify the reach of your work in the world? You want to add anything to that, Sam?
I think that the last thing that I want to add to that is that we're all designed to be abundant. We're designed to have abundant health, happiness, and wealth. And when we're in business, we're every single one of us are in the business of making money. That's what business is. It's about making money. And when you can do it in an aligned way, the abundance gates will just open. And you're actually designed to be abundant. So, tap in. All of these resources are here. Tap in, really understand it. Look, 9.9 times out of 10 people read this and go, oh my goodness, this is me. This is what I've always felt. I always knew this. But this is like the permission slip to help you really lean into it. And when you do, not only will your business take off, but it will change your life. It it literally changes people's lives.
Yeah. I love that. Sam, I always like to close with you kind of like getting to know you a little bit more. We've already learned a lot about you through the conversation, but I'd love to know, like looking back from today, and you're thinking back towards the beginning of this career arc, because you've had several as a business owner.
Hmm.
What's something that you waited way too long to do, but once you did it, you're like, why did I wait so long? Maybe it was a kind of a hard decision for you to make about your future success.
Oh, I mean, a
Which one,
million
right?
popped into my head so quickly, but let's go with this one. Let's trust that it's the right one. It's giving myself permission to actually show up as who I was, because I always put rules around the way that I thought a business owner should act, or I thought that a business owner should speak about, or the way I thought that people would think about me or judge me around the way that I did things that were unique to me. My woo that I was too afraid to tell people about, and I've used my whole, 32 years that I've been in business. The second I gave permission and just went, oh, stuff it. It's too heavy holding these masks. Let's just get rid of them, and people will either love it or they'll hate it. It astounded me, the people that when I kind of went, oh, I'm doing it my way now, that leant in and went, oh my God, I love this. Why didn't you talk about this sooner? This is changing my life. So by me giving myself the permission to show up just as the quirky, weird, sometimes outspoken, but also very nurturing person that I am, that was the moment that the everything just changed for me, and it not made me feel better about life and about what I was doing, and made me excited about my business again, but I could nerd out with other people as well, and change their lives. So that would be the number one thing that I wish I had have done sooner. But at the same time, if I hadn't have gone through the journey, I wouldn't have realized how beneficial and how valuable it really was to be able to do that.
Yeah, well said. Hindsight's always great, but when you look back, you're like, there was a reason I went through that. And maybe we could have
100%.
shortened the path if I had some of these tools a little earlier, right? I know for
Right?
me, like if I had understood alignment the way I do to now, I would have made some very different decisions. But again, now I
Absolutely.
value it and I understand its purpose, and I'm a better coach for it. So that's
Yeah,
really
well,
what's,
we're both 6'2" profiles, and
yep.
and we share through our lived experience. And man, I wish those lived experiences went a little bit shorter sometimes.
And yet we're not done with them. How interesting is
No,
that? So, well,
exactly.
Samantha, I love this tool. I've been really excited to share it with the Amplify community. And as you're listening in, I can't wait to hear what shifts for you. Um, it's like a little roadmap for your business going forward. So I can't wait to hear what shifts for you. Thank you, Samantha, so much for sharing it with us today and for bringing your wisdom. I appreciate you so much, my friend. And we'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.